Hi everyone, and welcome to our Talking Tech webinar today. I'm Caroline Hill, your host, the editor of Legal IT Insider, and I'm joined today by NetDocuments, where we're going to be looking at NetDocuments Legal AI Assistant, and we're going to have a discussion around agentic AI. I'm here with legal technology strategist Michelle Spencer, who's been in the legal sector for decades as an as a trainer. And training manager. Michelle, I just can't get the word AI out of my head. joining NetDocs. It's everywhere I'm looking. Michelle, before joining NetDocuments in 2022, was Director of Education and Communication at Helio Systems. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, glad to be here with you, Carolyn.
Great to have you here. And I'm also joined by Legal Solutions Director Jennifer Poon, who joined NetDocuments this year. Previously was litigation counsel at Aiken Gump, and her other roles have included a corporate associate at Simpson Thacher and Bartlett. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
So it's great to have you here. It's really great to have you all here listening with us, and we will be recording this. So if you're listening to the recording, then it's great to have you here too. If you're listening live, please do enable that chat. We know it's all alive and well. People have already been messaging and are listening in from all over the world. So it's great to have you here. As a matter of just quick housekeeping, please do keep your questions coming. The format is we're going to start with a demo of the Intelligent Assistant, which is, I have to tell you, it's my request. So we have done other webinars with NetDocuments, and on their sort of suggestion, we've kept it quite high level and not promotional, but actually I think that we're at a point in time where people really want to engage with the product. They want the opportunity to answer questions. And so we are going to have a demo of some of the newer products and functionality, which I think you're going to love, and you're going to have an opportunity as we go to ask questions. I will monitor the chat. We've got other people monitoring the chat as well. So please do jump in with your questions as we go. And then, as I said, we're going to be talking about agentic AI. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Michelle to jump in to talk to us about the assistant.
All right. Yes, so I am sharing my screen. You should see it momentarily. And yeah, welcome. We're really excited to talk more about our legal AI assistant, which is going to be available soon. So I'm going to just do kind of a quick intro. You may recall that we introduced our ndMAX concept for all of our AI products 1 year ago with the release of AI-enabled apps within our Pattern Builder Max document and workflow automation platform. But there's really a broad spectrum of ways to engage with AI. And we started by incorporating Gen AI prompts into the workflow automation tools so customers could build AI-powered apps. But the other way to engage AI is to leverage it throughout your day-to-day workflows to gain insight and quick answers as needed. And so this is why we are introducing the ndMAX Legal AI Assistant, a really simple and secure way to leverage AI in your daily workflows. And all of this combined functionality and even more that's coming soon is designed to enable the intelligent DMS, our document management system. And we really are basing this around 3 key principles. First is bringing AI to your content, not your content to AI. This is something that's really starting to hit home for legal organizations as they're counting up the number of point solutions and tallying the cumulative cost of taking that approach with AI. Not to mention the disruption that brings to user workflows that have to be addressed via integrations and APIs and having copies of documents uploaded to various systems, all of which introduces security concerns. And then our second principle is AI sit on top of your knowledge like a lens. So instead of users looking for the answers find them. But finding the answers isn't enough. You have to be able to do something with them. And that is where automation comes in. And so turning those answers into action by weaving them into automated workflows that can be deployed at scale. And this is what we are accomplishing with our suite of AI solutions. So regarding the assistant, after we launched our app builder, when we were speaking with law firms and corporate legal departments, we would hear things like, my lawyers want an easy and secure way to start leveraging AI while we create a more comprehensive AI strategy. Or we don't have the budget and resources to build apps, but we still want to leverage AI. Or I just want to leverage AI to easily pull information from my documents. A quick way to answer the wide variety of very specific one-off questions that we have continuously. So consider how many times a day every single person in your organization has a question where the answer lives in a document, or maybe several or 100 documents. A huge amount of time in legal teams is spent analyzing document content. And that's why we built the AI assistant as kind of that simple front door to AI. And so without further ado, I am going to stop sharing that screen and switch over and actually show you the product, unless we want to pause for a moment.
Well, I would just say, Jen, obviously, at any point, I'll jump in, but also, Jen, if you have things that you'd like to add, this is intended to be truly interactive, and Michelle's so great and able to deal with spontaneous questions, which not everyone is. So if you'd like to jump in at any point, please also do.
Yeah, just on that last point where, it's that easy on-ramp for your users, I think an important thing to keep in mind is that, within the NetDocs environment, it's secure. We have a zero data retention policy. So anything we send to OpenAI doesn't train its models on it. We also have an exemption where our data will be subject to algorithmic or human oversight. And so I think the value of having AI on your DMS where the attorneys work is that because they can do it on there, they don't have to go outside and use, other third-party vendors that might not have these exemptions in place. And so, your organization ends up in the headlines due to a data leak or something like that. You don't have to worry about that if you're bringing the AI to the lawyers in NetDocs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have them doing their shadow IT solutions behind the screens, right?
I haven't had shadow IT, the term shadow IT, for a little while. It's quite funny. I kind of went, but anyway, yeah, carry on.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share a slip and fall matter. We figure that's something that's really easy, even if you don't do litigation, to understand. And so our client is Fresh Mart Supermarket, and John Doe has had an accident in the store. And so I'm a new person on the case, and I need to quickly get up to speed with what's been happening. So I am going to select the complaint, and then I'm going to go into Ask AI. And that's going to open up a panel on the right side of the screen, and you'll see that it's adding one file. And what it's actually doing is it is semantically indexing the content of that file. And that's what's going to enable us to have a natural language chat with the file. So it takes a moment to do that. And now I can ask it, what is the plaintiff alleging? And what damages is he seeking?
And while Michelle's typing that in, you can obviously just come up with questions on the fly and enter them in as Michelle is choosing to do, but you also saw those 3 grayed out prompts at the top. Those are prompts that you can just click on it and it'll enter whatever language it describes, and you can just go with that. So for example, for the summarize button, if you had entered that, it would kind of give you a paragraph of what we think should be the prompt for the summary of a document.
So yeah, I think of those as kind of starter prompts that
Yeah.
you can then customize to fit whatever your specific situation is. So it's given us a summary of what happened. He had a fractured wrist, a sprained ankle, significant medical expenses, lost wages, etc. And in this answer screen, I want to point out a few things. So you'll see down here the little notation for the document. And if you have multiple documents, it will notate the specific document it's in. And then with the document, I have the option to click the little ellipsis button here. And with that, I am able to view the profile for the document, preview the document, or actually open it in Word or whatever program. And then I can click the link for the document and get access to all of the files that are being used as well. And I also have a copy function down here. So if I normally, when you get an answer like this, you need to do something with it. You need to put it in an email or a summary or a memo. And so I can copy it straight, copy the full text, or I can easily click and drag and select the text and copy and paste that somewhere else. So that was a simple one. I'm going to go back to.
Sorry, it's just there's quite a few questions in the chat that I think I can see that if I don't do them now, we're going to start to lose.
No,
and
that's
really
usually what happens. As soon as I do the demo, the chat goes crazy.
Yeah, they're immediately relevant. Sometimes I leave questions if they're sort of more hypothetical, but these are immediately relevant. So I hope you don't mind. So can this tool recognize what documents we're presented with, for example, a commercial contract?
So the simple answer is yes. It's sort of like you could just type what contract is this in that chat and it'll tell you because it's semantically indexed. And what that means is it kind of understands the concepts and the substantive content of what you've just given it. So it's kind of like asking a person, like, what kind of document is this? And it'll be able to tell you that.
Yeah, I like to say it understands so that semantic index means that it understands the context and the meaning of the text versus just the keywords like a traditional lexical search.
Yeah. And then is that indexing saved for, oh, sorry, Caroline, were you going to read that out? I'm just going to go down the list. Is that indexing saved for some amount of time for reuse, making future questions faster? And so while that chat is open, yes, you don't have to like re-upload the files. You can keep querying it. It'll retain the context of your previous questions. So you can be like, describe the reps and warranties. And then later on, it'll be like, now just the warranties. And it'll give you that, like it retains the memory of like what you said before. And you can save these chats as Michelle has pulled up here. So in a future state, all of these will be automatically named. For now, you can actually just edit it and call the thread whatever you want, and then return to it at a later date to ask it further questions or whatever. But between the threads, it does not retain that memory. And the reason for that is because of the zero data retention policy. We're sending these queries in, so you don't want the model remembering your questions. And you also, it just doesn't work with our security protocols. So each time you click into a new chat, it's starting afresh, basically. But like I said, you can go back into that thread if you wish to query it further. And then can I take you to the place?
Yeah, and it saves it for 60 days. And if I go back to that chat, so you'll notice this one is dated November 18th. As soon as I click on that and re-engage, it starts the 60-day counter again. So if I'm actively having a continuing conversation, I can keep that in my history.
Oh, that makes sense. Can it take the place in the document where you found the answers?
So right now you see those footnotes in there, and as Michelle just showed you, you can go into the actual document, preview it and everything. In very near future, when you hover over that footnote, it'll give you the exact citation, the language from where it pulled that description or summary or whatever from. So not now, but soon.
Soon, very soon.
Yeah.
And then
So
how are the
then
prompts? Sorry, Michelle, go. Oh,
I
there's
was
more questions.
just, oh, okay, go ahead.
So how are the prompts customized? Is it done in ndMAX or a separate UI?
No,
Separate
so
Yeah.
yeah, let me, I'm going to go in and find the insurance documents because there probably was an insurance claim from this, and I need to make sure my client has insurance coverage. So I'm going to pull these three documents, and then we can have another conversation with the insurance content. So if I were to click on one of these pre-built prompts, it would simply pull that content into the chat, and then I could adjust that as needed.
Oh, sorry. I thought the question was like, where can you like select what those 3 presets are and configure that?
Oh, maybe so. I'm not seeing the text of the
You
chat,
wanna
so
there's a clarification. Sorry to jump around, actually, but with
no
regard to that
problem.
60-day, Michelle, someone just said, and it's quite relevant. But sorry if this is a silly question, but how does the 60-day mesh with a 0 data retention? Is there a 60-day retention then?
So it is retained within the NetDocuments platform, the history of the chat and the index of the documents, but it is not retained by Microsoft Azure OpenAI.
That makes sense. And then again, with the clarification, please keep your clarification. Sorry if we're misunderstanding. So thanks for the explanation on the thread chat saving, but I meant, oh, is that the same person? No, it's different. Thanks for this explanation on the thread chat saving. I meant the initial indexing of the file that happened before you ask it questions. Does that make sense to you?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to go back to the original. I'll do that whilst I'm asking one more. So I noted all those documents were Word documents. Does it read PDFs and other forms of documents, presentations as well?
So there's a pretty long list of different file types that it's currently capable of reading, and we anticipate that that will extend over time. So it includes all of your text-based PDF, text, Word documents. It does not yet do PowerPoint, Excel, and email. We think email is going to be coming very, very soon because we know that's something people are anxious to get.
Yeah.
Well,
are there a limit on the number of docs and size of the docs?
Sorry, I don't think we fully answered how are the prompts customized. It's done in ndMAX or a separate UI. If I'm understanding the question correctly, those preset prompts are customizable on the back end via something else, not Pattern Builder Max. Pattern Builder Max is a different tool, which we can get into another day, but
completely separate products.
It's separate from Assist.
More on that in a moment after we do the demo, but yeah. And to the limit question, the software is currently in beta with customers, and we're kind of looking at and working through and talking with them about specific limitations. Currently, it's based on the number of files, and it's limited at 100. But we anticipate that that will also expand over time as the capabilities expand.
Right.
Yeah.
Will firms or individual practices within a firm be able to set their own quick prompts, or are we only able to leverage the predefined ones? I think that's similar to the other question. You'll be able to customize those quick prompts. It doesn't have to be summarized or whatever you saw up there. You can definitely customize those presets to suit your needs.
Yeah, and so a little bit of view into the future, you will be able to have both an individual and a firm prompt library. That's something that'll be coming after release. It's already on the roadmap. So you would be able to build and save your own prompts, and then the firm would be able to have a library of prompts. And say for litigation, you want to build specific litigation prompts for different transactional practices, finance, you might want to build specific ones for that.
Can I ask a stupid question? I know we've got to get, you okay, Jen?
Oh yeah,
sorry.
Just if Peter could just explain what he means. I'm not quite understanding is this a question about the indexing of the file? If you could just retype your question. And then
I might get you to the demo in a minute, and then I'll run through the questions to make sure we've got everything. Because I think, but so presumably in terms of the number of documents you can upload, there's changes further down the road in terms of semantic search, which will mean that you can potentially search the whole of the DMS, which I think will also change that question a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So right now you have to wait just a bit for those documents to be semantically indexed. When we release semantic search across the platform next year, then all documents will already be semantically indexed, so there won't be that waiting period for that to happen. So this is kind of the happy medium for before semantic is available widely. So I want to get to the real wow factor query. So I'll stop us for just a second. So you'll see I asked it about the insurance coverage. So we've got all the information about the defendant's insurance coverage and what claims have been made. And you can see that it's citing which document it found those items within. And I've got those documents here. But the real wow factor one comes when you start talking about discovery and depositions and all of those lengthy transcripts. So when I was a litigation paralegal way back when in my career, and by the way, you do have to close it and restart it to let it know you're starting a new chat. I've got my documents selected. Let me actually, I needed to close that. Select my documents. Come on. There we go. My machine is acting a little slow this morning. It hasn't had its coffee yet. So when I was a litigation paralegal, we had to physically go through and summarize each and every deposition and pull out what were the important facts and where were they located and all of that. But then as far as meshing those together, someone manually would have to do that. So this way I can query across all of these deposition transcripts. So I can ask, what are the discrepancies in the testimony of the witnesses in, if I could type, these documents. And I didn't even really compose that question very well. I could have been a little more precise probably, but you'll see even with just that kind of question, I still get a list of exactly what the different things are, so that each different one said, and the details about those things. And, it's tied to that specific witness, that specific document. And then if I want to get a timeline of events, I can have it do that as well. And this is the part that I'm still amazed by it as many times as I see it, because I think of how much time and just the mental tax on people working in law firms to do this kind of work and to be able to do it in, you saw, a few seconds across several witnesses. And so it breaks it down by prior to the incident, during the incident occurrence, and specifically, the moment of slip, that term. and then the post-incident actions, and then it usually gives a summary at the bottom. And what's been interesting to me is it will format it in slightly different ways each time. Sometimes it will put specific times. And so that's where being able to build your own prompts and tell it exactly how you want the output to look um, can be really handy. Uh, so
What's the accuracy, Michelle? What do you tell people about in terms of the accuracy or the need to check and all of those conversations that we always have around Gen AI?
So what's really nice about this is you're grounding the answers in those documents. So you are telling it, I want you to get the answers from these documents. And so it's actually, in our experience, been very accurate. Jen, you may have um, something to add in that regard about the accuracy of the responses, but I've found it to be very accurate.
It is as accurate as you would expect for, even if you go on ChatGPT, sometimes it'll give you responses that you you need to validate. But yeah, generally it is pretty accurate here and the hallucination rate is very, very low because we're asking it to only look at a select set of documents and not to really stray beyond that. And the creativity score is set basically to nothing here. And so,
Right.
yeah, I would agree that it's pretty accurate.
Now, we do say at the bottom of every single chat to review carefully, and we always recommend keeping the human in the loop. Do you have other questions we need to address? Are we good to?
I've been manning the chat.
You have
Jen's
doing a great.
Yeah, Michelle, can they select files from different folders or different workspaces?
Mhm. Yeah, I've just been, for simplicity, going into a folder or but I could pull from across the whole cabinet. Um, so as
And
long
then,
as you can find a file, you can add it to the chat.
yeah, I think we have like a drag and drop, right? Where you can just drag the file into the chat.
That'll be coming at release. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's another reason why here with the 6 selected files, you can go to the selected files and see what you've got selected, and then very soon we'll have the capability to drag a file into this area.
Awesome.
And someone said, can this type of output be put in a tabular format too?
So like a table,
Yeah.
you could ask for, I think, ask for the output to be in a specific format. You'd probably need to tell it what you wanted for headings and things like that.
And also, does it support Markdown to output tables bullets? And I guess that's the same question, right? Yeah. You can ask it for bullet point for sure. Right now, we just have it in this format.
And then I'll point out
Yeah.
up here, we've got this other Ask AI button. And so if you wanted to just have a similar chat to what you would do with something like a Chat GPT, like, hey, write me an email to my client that says XYZ, or help me brainstorm about whatever topic, that enables that capability. So you'll see the 0 selected files, and I can just have a chat with the AI directly.
I'm guessing that with the tabular comments, it's in terms of that's thinking ahead in terms of the automation. So if you can start to create consistency of output, then you can start to achieve you can extend what you do in terms of putting it into a workflow.
And that perfectly tees up the last little bit of the presentation.
Before we go on, just want to address these last one. Is there a word limit on the response? Michelle, I don't think so right now, right? But if you're thinking of like dropping like super long documents into this and asking for a super long output, I would say that Assist is not geared towards that. That's more a Pattern Builder Max thing. And even with these tables and everything, if you're looking for like something you do every day that's repetitive and that utilizes like lengthy documents or is high volume, that's what Pattern Builder is for. Those are for those like complicated workflows that require multiple steps, and you just want to be able to press a button and have all those prompts, basically, which is what the questions you're entering now are, sort of built out for you. That's more like a Pattern Builder Max sort of thing. So like, mark up this NDA for me, press a button and it does that according to like a predefined playbook that you've entered. That's more Pattern Builder Max. Assist really is for those like ad hoc queries of documents and to have continuing conversations to quickly pull information or summarize or do like spot drafting, but not for like longer documents is what I would say. Because like you're limited to that little conversational panel. I'm pretty sure you don't want to see like an 8-page document it drafted in bullet point in that small panel. And this question here, to get a full ROI from the app, don't we need to be able to fully trust the output, as otherwise we are just rechecking? Going back to what Michelle said, ultimately you still need to check. I think if you're an attorney or a lawyer and you are doing this day in, day out, it's still on you to validate. I think as you get more familiar with the tools and you use them over and over again, you'll build that level of trust and comfort. And eventually, we do have customers where this is live and they do trust the output. But we would just caution that this is AI, this is nascent technology. And so you should always double check no matter what. And I'd say that even if you're getting consistent, reliable results 100% of the time, you're still going to have to go in and check. And I think that's just part of like ethical duties as an attorney as well. So
it take you then would it take you to where to find because obviously if it gives you that information, which I do agree is a wow factor, but then does it tell you where to find it so you can quickly go and check and verify, because obviously it's giving you a whole bunch of information in terms of particularly where you were saying, what are the differences or whatever, the what's missing, or that's so clever, but does it show you where in the document to go so that you can quickly go and verify it?
Yeah, so those footnotes, if you hover over them, it'll give you those exact language from where it's pulling from in the citations very, very shortly. For now, not yet.
Okay. Yeah, so soon, very soon.
Okay. And then in that case, if my document has a long timeline, is it going to pick all of the dates?
Yeah, it will. It should. Yep.
I agree with, so one of the things I think this is good for is we have a lot of conversations around people using Gen AI in their life, in their day-to-day work and in practice, and I think, and it's a case of often how to get started. And people have got a little bit of overwhelm with different tools. And right now it's very difficult to know which tool to go for, and you can't do them all. I do think this is a good way of people starting to familiarize themselves with how it works and what you need to be cautious of, and just sort of getting used to, integrating it into their daily practice.
I totally agree. And this next little segment hopefully will kind of explain like what the differences are between a chatbot and an agent or an assistant. And by the way, if you see those terms, either one can be used interchangeably. And then also, where does automation come into this? Because Jen mentioned Pattern Builder Max, which is our workflow and automation tool, which is a separate platform from the assistant. So how those two interact. So let me fly through this, and then I bet you're going to have more questions from this. So with a chatbot, you are simply chatting back and forth with the large language model. And so that's the upper button that I showed where you can go and just have that chat. But with an agent or an assistant, most people have really focused on the large language model, that foundational model and its capabilities. But with an agent or an assistant, the AI orchestrator is what makes those more powerful than chatbots. An agent or assistant is capable of actually doing things and leveraging additional information via the orchestrator. And the extent of what it can do makes the difference between just a simple skin over a chatbot and a really fully functioning assistant. So first of all, the AI orchestrator can tap into other sources of information to work with the LLM, such as user data or business data, like the documents that we just saw in the demo, and also the memory of prior prompts and chats. So where it's actually using the document contents to provide the answers. And then the other piece of the puzzle, as most of you've probably experienced by now, LLMs are only good at certain things. They're great at handling text, not so great at complex math or data analysis, design, some of those things. But you can add these other skills and extend the capabilities of the LLM by either connecting to other agents or specialized tools like the stuff that we have within our DMS, or workflow automation systems like our Pattern Builder Max app builder. And that greatly increases the capabilities of the assistant. And so it's that combination of the user with the knowledge controlling that interaction, those vast knowledge stores contained within your documents, the skills and tools that are available within the assistant, and the LLM that really combine to make for a pretty exciting solution. And so you can see that answers are not all that the assistant will provide. Very soon, we will connect the assistant with the apps built using Pattern Builder Max, and having those custom apps built specifically for our customers' workflow needs is going to give agents the ability to not just answer questions, but also to complete tasks. And one of the great examples is that the AI assistant is going to be able to leverage tools built by NetDocuments, such as the ability to automatically edit a document and apply red lines, which is a new capability that we'll be releasing very soon. So for example, you might use our contract playbook app, which is a Pattern Builder Max product, that allows you to compare third-party paper against your own internal best practices. And then once the app has identified the differences and suggested alternatives in line with the playbook, then you could leverage the redlining skill to apply those edits and Microsoft's capabilities to accept or reject those changes. So this is an example of how we're focused not just on AI capabilities, but also ensuring that you have the tools needed in the course of your legal specific workflows. But
what comes? Sorry, Michelle. No, sorry, you carry on.
I was just going to finish out. The app builder isn't the only way to leverage this capability. The assistant will also be able to suggest edits based on your queries and requests. So that's another development that's coming soon.
So that's awesome. So how many sort of steps would this take in terms of the redlining? What would just go into? Can you tell us a little bit more about what it would look like?
We're still very early phases.
Yeah.
And Jen may have something that she wants to add, but
I think you're not done with this slide, right? Like you're going to click through these things and show the.
No, this is it, because it's conceptual. They're literally designing and building it right now.
Okay. I think
you may have seen more than I have.
Yeah. So I want to point out that here, if you notice some of these automatic markup tools, they'll like delete an entire paragraph and then like replace that, which is really annoying as a reviewer, because then you're like, where exactly is this change being applied? We've worked really hard to target just the word or just the phrase or the sentences that you're going to redline. And then on the right side, what you'll typically see is it's going to give you options either to apply as a track change, apply without track changes, or to apply a comment. And pretty soon you'll be able to do both, like both apply, track change, and then insert a comment, which is what a lot of attorneys do because they want to provide an explanation for why they're marking up something like that. And then you'll be able to click through each individual change and clicked accept or reject, or just batch accept the comments. So that, yeah. Sorry, Michelle, I think I am. We just had this conversation yesterday, so yeah.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
You're getting the latest and greatest here.
Yeah, it's like,
it's fun to see it as it develops, right? Like, and it's great for you to kind of share the roadmap with us. So that's cool. So there was a question about when will the Playbook app become available. It's funny. I think we need to clarify some of that. Maybe not right now, but like the what belongs where and where it is on the roadmap. I think there's some confusion in terms of what belongs to ndMAX and
yeah,
what's
the pattern builder,
the assistant. Sorry, yeah, pattern builder. Having a blank. I think there's some confusion as to what goes where. It might be useful for me to help clarify just what belongs where and what the roadmap is, and then share it alongside the recording of this, because obviously you've released quite a lot in a short space of time. So when will the Playbook app become available? And then Jen, okay, kindly answered already available with Pattern Builder Max.
So just like a broad overview of like NetDoc's approach is that I like to say we're like pretty multifaceted, and we decided to attack these pain points and problems from multiple angles. And so at first we started with Pattern Builder Max, which was the harder thing to do, I think. So Pattern Builder Max basically involves doc automation. That's the piece that Assist can't really help you with because it's not meant for that. Pattern Builder Max, where you want to output generated into specific like document or format for reuse, and you want to just be able to hit a button and trigger that workflow automatically, which might involve multiple steps and multiple prompts. That's what Pattern Builder Max is for. So for the Playbook app, what the Playbook app does is it takes prior precedents that you select, amalgamates them into like one model document containing the most comprehensive version of each provision, which you can customize. So for an NDA, you don't really care about like severability or resignability. Those are pretty standard, but you might only care about 5 key things. It's like the term, the definition of confidential information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You select those. It comes up with a playbook that only looks at those provisions, and then you would use that playbook to review it against an incoming draft and to generate an issues list. As you can tell, that involves multiple steps. It involves triggering multiple prompts. So that's what Pattern Builder Max is for, so that you don't have to enter those questions each time. And it basically just looks like an app. You like select the documents, you customize, you specify which provisions you want the playbook to kind of look at, and then you press that button and you're on your way. So that's why that is a Pattern Builder Max function. And as you can see, that's not something that would be very user-friendly to do on the Assist. Because you'd have to walk it through each step. You'd be like, all right, I love doing these 5 files. Take a look. Okay, now look at these 5 provisions and come up with the most comprehensive version you can get. Okay, now I'm going to drop in the new draft. Okay, now I want you to come up with the issues list. As you can see, very unwieldy. So that's why Playbook app, or any app we're talking about, is going to fall within the Pattern Builder Max category. And now, so what we found is that Pattern Builder Max is pretty complicated. Not a lot of users want to, have to build out those apps, and because that takes some time to customize. So that's what Assist is for. It's sort of like the easy on-ramp where you can do those ad hoc inquiries and like not have to go through an app in order to like get your responses that you need. Eventually, what we're going to do is link those two together, and you're going to be able to invoke a Pattern Builder Max using Assist. So within that chat interface, you can be like, run these documents through the Pattern Builder Max app for Playbook and give me a playbook, and I'll be able to spit that out for you. Going back to the multifaceted approach, in my head, it feels like we're coming up with different puzzle pieces, and eventually, especially when semantic search comes online, all these puzzle pieces will go together. But our thinking was, we're just going to bring our customers what's best and new available as quickly as possible, so that people have multiple tools and multiple approaches they can take. But at the end, our ultimate vision and roadmap is to bring all these pieces together into like one seamless workflow.
And that perfectly tees up my next slide. But Carolyn, you may have questions.
Well, yeah, no, there's an observation that it's confusing. I think it is, being frank, I think it is quite confusing, but I take your point, Jen, about that it will come together, and I think it's all new. But I have found it in the past a little confusing. I think there is a bit of confusion in terms of what fits where and what, but you know, hats off, you know, you're bringing a lot of new stuff, and hopefully in the near future there'll be some thought around how to maybe bring it together or make it a bit less confusing for people. But I do appreciate that you're doing a lot of new stuff in a very short period of time.
I feel like it's like we're the Android. We're like, here's all these things you can do. But yes, I agree. The marketing could probably use some improvement. I think we're moving towards a state where we're not going to differentiate between assist versus pattern builder max. It's all just going to be called ndMAX, NetDocMax. So that's coming down the pipeline. Maybe I'll get dinged for that because I'm saying it on a recording. But if marketing comes back,
well, that's
yells
the
at me,
overarching.
I was in a corner.
That's the overarching concept for all of the different tools that we are bringing to market. And I would recommend our prior webinar with Caroline, where we kind of went through the whole big picture of all the pieces and how those fit together. I think that would probably help.
Nice. It's a great point, Michelle. This fits really nicely with that. So we'll sort of remind you. I can I wonder if I'll try and find it. I'll drop a link in the chat whilst you're on to this next bit, Michelle.
Sorry, Michelle, can I take like 3 minutes to address that prior question too, just on that ROI thing? I don't think I answered that like quite like robustly enough. I will say, yes, you need to validate everything you check, but if you think about the ROI, really you're making a lot of efficiency and consistency and accuracy gains already. Because if you think about it, all the stuff that you used to manually do and rely on like Control F to find your answers and then like eyeball to like draft something new based off stuff you reviewed, that's pretty, you know, inefficient and like less scalable than what we're proposing. So yeah, at the end of the day, are you still going to need to step in and check all your answers in the output? Absolutely. Just to avoid that one thing that went viral where like, you know, they submitted a brief and all the case invocations were wrong, the case law didn't exist. You don't want that to happen, but you are making a lot of returns in terms of efficiency. And at the end of the day, I think the AI is more accurate than say like a first-year associate.
I was gonna say the hours that it used to take me to transcribe one deposition.
Yeah.
Now I can just ask those questions. And get
one customer even proposed with that deposition thing. It's like what's really cool is like now you can like live transcribe things and then, you know, ask the AI to quickly look, you know, what's inconsistent about the statements he's made compared to all these prior ones. Now that's something that you can't really do manually. But now with AI you can actually do that. Are you going to have to check the answer? Yeah, but we're just capable of so much more things at scale than we were before. So I think the ROI is still palpable and significant.
And so just to kind of get back to the slide, this is early days, right, with agentic AI. And so where assistance combined with automation is where it really starts to shine. And so we're envisioning an agent-to-agent world where Copilot, many of you have probably used Microsoft Copilot. So Copilot will triage queries and pass them to specialized agents designed for a specific purpose. So think legal research, time and billing, e-discovery, and our primary category, legal work product. With all of those DMS functions, plus a whole lot more. So the more tools that you have to support specific workflows, then the more impactful that agent experience will be. And so being able to use natural language queries is familiar to your end users, and that helps a lot with the change management and the increased adoption of other more complicated AI solutions. And having the agents built into the DMS is really going to be a must because that's where your content resides. And you've got all of those prior precedents and expertise contained within your documents. And so the second thing with the assistant, just to be very, very clear, the ndMAX AI assistant is actually two things. So first is the functionality that we saw within the NetDocuments platform that enables end users to query documents and then do things like produce summaries and timelines and other content. The second part is the Microsoft Copilot integration. Of course, that's only going to work for those who have invested in Microsoft Copilot. And to be very clear and transparent, initially, it will enable users to leverage the Copilot interface within Teams to run searches within NetDocuments. Over time, though, the Copilot extension is going to gain additional NetDocuments tools, and all of that functionality will start to become available within all of the M365 apps when Microsoft makes those apps available for use. So hopefully that helps you kind of understand a little bit better the bigger picture. And also you will be able to trigger the assistant via apps and vice versa, and we'll have connectivity between the products. So it's not just the products themselves living within kind of a silo. It's kind of like you said, those puzzle pieces fitting together.
Do you get questions as to overlap? Like, do people sort of go, well, there's a bit of confusion. Oh, could I just have Copilot? Do you get those questions?
We do. Copilot. So I think, you're going to have a lot of tools out there right now. And it's like, what's the differentiation between one product or the other? And like, in short, the answer is from a theoretical level, customization. And, Copilot
and access to content too, I would say.
That's exactly where I was headed. You don't have access to the Copilot can't, unless you build that interface with NetDocs, it can't really pull from your precedents and play with those. You can't use, you can't access your assist chat through Copilot or whatever. So I think yes, you can get away with that, but what we found, the feedback from our customers is that Copilot doesn't do as good a job, especially when you build in like the doc automation piece that Pattern Builder Max does. You really can't do that through Copilot. And so it's just the companies that are going to prevail in this space are going to be the ones that do the customization the best. And I think that's the strategy that NetDocs is taking.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is I always go back to early days when I was trying to help people in our company understand the technology. I go back to a Venn diagram that we had of the different kind of buckets of functionality. And you have like your general business tasks, legal research, which requires a very specific set of skills and data. And then your client facing, like your legal work product and the tools and the content that are needed for that. And I think Copilot does a great job with the general business tasks. Give me a summary of a meeting, give me action items, point me to important emails. I love it for all of those things. But for legal work product, not so much.
Yeah, I do think you're answering a lot of the questions around one of the concerns when in the DMS space, when we sort of started to go further down the Gen AI journey, was around the quality of the documents and around the output, and that kind of fear. And there's still very much that fear amongst law firms of, just allowing fear just to, search through. And I think that a lot of the work that you're doing in terms of currently, I know there's going to still be questions to answer around that, and a lot of people will be looking at their knowledge bank, etc. But I do feel like a lot of the work that you're doing is going to alleviate some of those concerns in terms of being able to upload your documents and analyze those, and there's so many things that you're doing currently that you can't do through Copilot.
Yeah, we call it the toggle tax too, is that like, you have to drop your documents into like different environments and then save them back, which is probably the number one usage barrier for attorneys who are like short on time and really impatient. And so that's also
I would say
value of having a tool where
And I would say it's the one time where IT is in lockstep with the desires of the attorneys, because it's also a huge information governance risk when you start, most firms of any size have built their information governance around the DMS.
Yeah.
You've got your ethical walls and all of your protections and security on documents. And so when you start taking it out of that environment, then you're opening up all kinds of risks.
Yeah,
And
there's
so,
so much right now, and there's so much things. And is there? I think, to be honest with you, we're sort of getting to time. I don't know if there's anything. I always find this when I talk to you, Michelle, and now Jen. Like, we run out of time super fast. And I think that everyone's questions have been so great. You predicted that there would be a flood of questions, and there have been. And I'm really grateful to everybody for asking so many questions. So I don't know if there's anything from the chat that we haven't covered that you particularly wanted to, or that Jen.
There's a new one. Cost. We don't have any of the account reps here, and they'll kill me and Michelle if we say anything about that. So
I'll say it's less than Copilot, significantly less than Copilot.
Michelle, is there any blurb we put on, like who to reach out to about questions about that?
Information or info@netdocuments.com. I can never remember
if you don't have a rep already from NetDocs, please get in touch and we can.
And yeah, there's a request a demo link right at the top of our webpage, netdocuments.com, if you want more information.
Okay, great. Well, look, I'd just like to say thank you so much to everybody for joining from across the globe, and to Michelle and Jennifer. Do you prefer Jen or Jennifer?
Jen.
I've been calling you Jen, so I apologize.
No, good. If I made you use 3 syllables, I feel like I would be a terrible person. Not that that's fine for people who do, but Jen.
I think I chose the wrong time to check that with you, like right at the end. But no, it's really great to join you. I think that we've completely run out of time, and I just want to say thank you so much. We'll be sharing this recording and any of the other information in terms of contact details we can provide as well. But for the time being, thank you so much, Jen and Michelle. I really appreciate your time and everybody for listening in.
Thanks for being such a great host, Caroline.
Yeah, thanks for all the great questions.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
Everyone, and thanks for all the questions. Bye.